All right, so let's say I have this pretty complex thing that I have been tasked to like unwrap. First thing I'm going to do is figure out if there are any duplicates. So in this case, I totally do have loads of duplicates. In fact, almost the entire half of the model is a duplicate. So not this piece, not that piece, not the body piece, not this middle piece, not the front piece, but everything else is exact duplicate of like the other side. Doesn't matter which side. Like I'm thinking of. Oh, almost got rid of these. These are a duplicate. I'm just trying to think whether I should. The thing is, if I do an occlusion, they will. No, it's fine. Let's get rid of them. We'll keep one of them. So let's keep one. We'll keep the central column because the rest are just exact copies. Anything else? Am I missing anything, peeps? Just trying to see if there's any other duplicates here. I don't think so. Nothing obvious
You have
anyway.
like all
Huh?
the leg connectors on the left leg.
Yeah, all these little like these ones.
Yeah, all those.
Oh, sorry, you mean like these are yeah. I could if I wasn't going to give them different colors and stuff. I don't know if I am or not. But let's assume that we're not. Let's assume we're just gonna copy these. That's fine. I may or may not be like downloading Cyberpunk, so maybe that's why the internet's bad. I actually did pause it. I'd like that's kind of a joke. I don't know why the internet's
Is it
bad.
running
So
right now?
no, it's
Like on
pausing.
another monitor?
All right. It's probably because I'm OBSing as well as. All right, so that is. Is it really bad? The stream.
Not for me.
Like the top
Do you like
where
pan a
all
little
the
bit so
tools
I can
are, they're
see?
all like
Oh yeah, the blurriness.
they're all blurred, and
Oh,
kind
it is
of
a
the
bit
side
blurry.
bar as well on the left is a bit blurry.
I'm not quite
Yeah,
sure what to.
everything's
But
blurry.
like everything on the right is decent,
Oh yeah,
except
the
like the top
toolbar is
bit where
super
you
blurry.
select the
Everything else is
Yeah,
modifiers.
decent.
it's like the top toolbar is just all censored. Like
Yeah, it's like
It's like mosaic
top
censoring.
the top third of the screen is just all blurry for me.
Is it like unviewable? As in like, is this not
Like you
working?
can make out the words, it's just like, do you know, kind of where the
Like
rotate tools
everything is
are and the
smudged.
snap
It
tools.
kind of
Yeah.
links
Yeah,
into the scene view.
but you all know what I'm doing, I guess, right? Like, as in all the tools that I'm using, or do you not?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, like we could like if we can see if you put on
Jeez,
like
what
a new
happened to the top
modifier
bar?
or
That's
something.
mad. Okay, that's good that the right side is visible because that's
uh,
kind of the most important thing. Okay, so that's okay. Let me know if does get worse though. All right, so what I'm going to do is I won't delete these. I will actually just attach them. Reason being is I can use them as a reference later when I want to rebuild everything. So this is called a Guardian model. So this will be Guardian underscore reference right side. Let's detach that. That is gone. It is now here. I can disappear it. Happy days. Now I have like literally half of the stuff left to unwrap. Um, Anything else I could get rid of? I think it's mostly pretty okay. I technically could do these spheres. I think they're similar. But sure, let's see. I won't be unwrapping the full thing anyway. I'll unwrap most of the most complicated things. So, thing after this as well. And this depends on how, I guess, like accurate you want to be. So, I like to do. Some people will turn on the grid and look at it from the side and will snap it. Oh, sorry. Let me zoom. They'll snap it to exactly like one space up. So that means they can go one space down. You can also do like a move. So you in the move settings, you can do like an offset. Like let's say in the Y direction, you do it exactly 1 meter, for example, and everything you're moving, you're always moving by 1 meter. So it depends on how accurate you need to be to come back. Generally, in my experience, you don't need to be that accurate. You can just kind of like move things away from each other and put them back later. But I'm just showing you that in case you ever do get into the position that you will need to deal with that. I never have had to deal with that, but you might. That might be a issue. So I'm just gonna manually put these out. And remember, I have the reference copy there as well. Oh, why is this? This does not need to be separated. That one is, but I don't know why this is separated. I didn't build this model, by the way. I built some of this model, and then it was edited later. Okay, I'm going to weld these back together, which is actually a good thing, in case you don't know what welding is. So I'm just going to grab, this is all the vertices here, and I can do a weld. What a weld will do is any vertices within a certain threshold will get merged together. So let me open the weld settings. So this is like every vertex within 0.1 meters will be welded together. So I can change that, and you should see it going crazy in a second. Why? Why aren't you? Maybe I have to hit apply. Boop. Nope, it doesn't. It should grab everything within that threshold.
I think you have preview off.
Oh, do I preview off? Let's preview.
I think, is it like that little vial thing, like under the modifier list?
Oh.
I think it is.
Whatever, it worked. It is should be welded now. Yep, they're welded together. Cool. So that's how you would weld stuff. You can, so if you have vertices that you want to have together, you can either select those vertices like so and collapse them. Right click will and collapse, or find collapse here. We'll like merge them, or weld will do the same thing, and weld will do it even if they're two different objects, like these were here. So now they've been merged into one object. It's not the biggest deal, just might be a lot easier for me when I go to unwrap. Maybe, maybe not. Okay, let me pull this out. This one's one piece. This whole arm can probably just move off to the side. Oh, and the fingers, these kind of things, I would probably just unwrap the thumb. Because the fingers are duplicates of the thumb, essentially. So I probably don't need all of these. Bye-bye. And I just need one of these. Let's move these away from each other. Again, you know, I'm just showing you one way. It's not the only way. There are many ways to unwrap, but I'm just saying this is how I would unwrap. I am much more of a whatever gets the job done kind of person, and there are people who are very, very, very like anal about how they unwrap. But it's not wrong. No way is wrong or right. Like, it's just what you need, I guess, for your purposes. And I do believe these are the same sphere. Yeah, they are. Just enlarged. I may unwrap them separately because they may be. I may want different like ambient occlusion on these, because these will be hidden in quite a lot. So like, imagine if this one that was like hidden in there, and if they're all duplicates, and I do a bake, it'll add a lot of ambient occlusion on this one, and because these are duplicates, they'll also get like crap tons of ambient occlusion, maybe more than I want. So I think I will unwrap them separately, or I would unwrap them separately. Let's pull these out. While I'm doing this, I would like people to kind of just have a look at the model, and I don't know which parts you find complicated or difficult, right? So let me know which parts you would want to see unwrapped. You can just say like the square thingy by the arm or by the foot or whatever, and I'll unwrap that piece.
I think the foot looks like it has the most kind of like funny angles.
The foot has a lot of weird little. This piece is going to be a little bit of a nightmare. That piece is a bit of a, yeah. This one, that's a duplicate as well. That's a duplicate. So this is kind of what I was saying. If once you get more used to modeling and unwrapping in general, sometimes you'll just build these. You can see like I'm exploding them because they're easy to like unwrap. Then I can get inside them. You don't have to. There are ways you can go like Alt X, and that makes it transparent, and you can unwrap by like going inside them and rotating around. And some people do that as well. I prefer this method because I find it easier. and I find it easier to just model what I need, as in like I'll model one of each of these and then unwrap them and then shove them together at the end. But it really depends. Some people aren't
I imagine with a lot of
comfortable with
small
that.
parts, the transparent thing gets pretty annoying.
And it does. It really does. Especially when you get to like really high poly as well, it gets mad inside there. I do prefer this method, but whatever floats your boat. Okay, so I'm seeing the whole foot. So I'm going to start with the easiest parts of the foot first, which are, let me just isolate the foot so we can see. So this whole thing was the foot. And it doesn't matter where I put it right now because I'm just unwrapping and I'll reassemble everything later. So, did I add that? There we go. Unwrap EVW. It already has an unwrap, but I'm gonna disable those. I'm gonna overwrite them. You can see that's the actual unwrap there already. That's already been done previously. I don't know what's happened here. Oh, okay, they're just packed very tight. And everything I'm selecting is the foot. But I'm just gonna make new unwraps. Whenever I like create new seams and unpeel and do my unwraps, they will automatically overwrite whatever's here. So I don't need to worry about like getting rid of this or whatever it is. If I do something new, it'll just overwrite here, so it's fine. This is a kind of weird unwrap, but whatever, it's fine. I didn't unwrap it. It's not bad, it's just funny. Alright, so the first thing I'll do is I'll do one of these, which is very easy. Like, I technically don't even need the inside part, because if you saw, these two polygons were hidden. So whenever they were placed on a surface, like you'll never see this. So technically you don't even need these. You could just delete them. But just because they're here, I'll unwrap them anyway. So what I would like to do, I'll do like the Coke can unwrap. And again, if you imagine this is a Coke can, like a really squash one, and if you cut the bottom and cut the top and do a split around the side, you should be able to unravel the whole thing. So let's do that. Let's see if I can go around. No, it doesn't quite. So I can do it like this, which is easier. Oh, I need to turn on the ignore backfacing. So ignore backfacing was on. It's always on by default, meaning if I look at it from this angle, these are all facing the other way, so they're not looking at me, so they won't be selected. There's certain times you may want them, certain times you don't. So I'm gonna turn that on because I do want to select everything.
But there's a good loop tool as well, instead, you know the way you have to normally hold
There
shift to do loop
is
in the modify selection.
there is this like
Yeah, that one.
there are these, but I think for this, because there's a split in here and because it's so low poly, like I'll show you. I don't think it'll work. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then this is the what you call it. It'll go that way. So maybe it's better if I show it on one of the more complex models. So what they should do, it'll work perfect on this. So it should go, that should go all the way around. And then this should like do steps down. It'll probably be better here. If I already start it in one direction, like that. So it'll step down. But on very low poly stuff, it doesn't quite work. So I kind of have to do it this way. But that's a good shout. It's a good thing to know. So grab these. I'm just going to deselect those. Select these. And I kind of want to keep them together. I don't have to, but I want to. So I'm going to leave a little gap here so they're still connected, right? And I'm going to convert those to seams. And you see the way I'm leaving the place where it's an unseam, I'm leaving it on top because I want to, as much as possible, hide the seams. I can't really hide them because they're kind of going all the way around, but as much as possible. So let's do that. Just doing both sides first. Cool. And all I need to do is, where will I split it? I think I will split it. Should I have? Yeah, I'll do it like that. Childish people are going to laugh in a second. So this should give me the two kind of circles, and then like a long strip all the way around. So expand, polygon, start pelt, start relax, commit, and happy days. That's it. And that works pretty.
Bow tie.
Yes, Danica, you sweet
Oh.
summer child. So the reason why this is good is,
Cyberpunk.
I know, what this
It's
allows
good
me
for
to
it to me.
do is if I have other kind of like areas, other kind of like let me see if I can find a gap here. I can fit other pieces in this area. You know what I mean? What I can also do if I grab this, should be able to break this, break here, and then I can. Don't have to. Maybe let's not rotate it. I can just overlap them. Ooh, sorry, it's getting a bit. There we go. I may need to flip these, so I will flip this. Where is flip? Ugh, don't like the way they've done this. There was a button here, but anyway, let's go to the tools and we'll do flip horizontal.
I think they updated a lot of the buttons recently with 2021 update. I
Again,
noticed that when I swapped over, like only small things, but like it's annoying. I don't understand why they do
I
it.
know, like they already updated in 2016, and when they swapped over, like 2016 buttons were completely different to these, so sometimes they still get lost. Either way, it's here now, but you can see the way it's overlap and it fits exactly on top. So that way I'm actually using less texture space. So now I can fit something else here even. And to make sure that these stay together, so, because like, you know, when I move, let me select by the whole element. If I move this whole thing, it doesn't stay together. What I can do, select everything, and I'll go to this group option here, and I'll just group selected, and that's it. Boop. And that means even if I select from here, oh sorry, I do still have to select them both, but it means like when I go to arrange elements, when I pad them in and like tell Max to automatically fit all the UV shells, this will stay on top of each other. They won't be like split away. If I didn't group them, they would. Max would see these as two different UV groups, as it should.
Baz, would there be a downside to doing a quick pelt in a shape like that? Like, do you
On
need to
something like
do a
this,
relaxing? Yeah, like, do you need to relax the pelt on that,
we can
or
try.
can you just do it?
Let's try a quick pelt. Where's the quick pelt? It's here, isn't it? I do find quick peel just doesn't give you quite as much control. No, seems to work fine. I don't know if that's because well, let me find the other. Where's the other one? I had two of these. There we go. Right, so let's see. Quick peel, basically, when quick peel works, it works great. But I do find it occasionally has problems. Not very often, but sure.
So would you use it for them less complex shapes, like just regular
I
shapes like that,
actually
or squares? And
use. Oh, for squares, yeah. Squares, I'd use it. Because that works. If I'm like super confident it'll be Max will understand it, then yeah, I could just quick peel. But sure, let's find out. Boop. Oh God, what have you done? So nope. Let me reset the peel. So no, in this case, I don't think I would quick peel.
Baz,
Yeah.
if you were to like quick peel like that, is there a way to remove a seam? Like, let's say there's a seam you didn't want. Is there a way to remove it?
Yes. So like
there's a
Because I can't seem to
edit
find anything on
edit
how to
seams.
remove.
Edit seams. I'm
Yeah.
selecting it. Edit seams will obviously allow me to add seams, but if I hit Alt, it's negative, so it'll get rid.
Ah, okay.
But when they when they go green and they're like, when the seam goes green, it's not
Oh,
blue anymore.
the
It's
green
defined. Like,
the green is it's defined, yeah. And it won't be readable by the modifier anymore. Green is like whatever it comes in with. You can just turn off the map seams, like these are green because like this model already had a unwrap, and I can just turn that off. So they're still there, but they're just not visible, so they're not getting in my way. What quick peel I would use for quick peel is I accidentally hit. Well, it's fine. I don't care about that. What I would use quick peel for might be for something like maybe it'll work here. I'm not 100%, but let's see. So let's say this whole dome. Oh, I'm doing the wrong thing. This whole dome. Select the whole dome. So I might be able to quick peel this. This might work. All right, so let's try the quick peel. Yeah, that worked pretty well. So generally, like flatter areas or areas that you can imagine would be really easy to just cut out and squash. Something like that. That seems to work pretty good. So something like that, you could probably use quick peel. My other problem with quick peel, as you can see, it doesn't add the blue lines. Meaning that if I'm going to start unwrapping this part of it, and I do like expand the seams, it'll go and select this, even though this has already been peeled separately. It's not a big deal. You can just go and add your own seams or whatever. But I'm just saying it sometimes can be annoying. You can just do that. It's fine. That's seamed. Oh, I'm missing like 2 of these. No, they're not. They're just an update. Okay, back to the foot, unless there are any other questions. Okay, back to the foot. So I will do... So we've done that. That's easy enough. Something like this would be the complex one. So let's do the complex one. So what I would probably do for something like this, where there's a lot of angle changes, I think what the easiest thing will be is, like if I look at this piece, no one's going to look here, right? This is a foot. Like no one's going to be looking at the foot really. No one's going to look here around like the join areas. And in fact, I might even be texturing it a different color or a different material. So I will probably definitely cut these into 3 pieces. So this will be one piece, and this. And because this piece and this piece are exact mirror images of each other, I'll probably do the exact same unwrap on both of them, and then like overlap them the same way I did it for that little circle. So they're like on top of each other. So again, they'll use less texture space. You do have to be kind of careful when you're doing that because you can't really go back from that without unwrapping again. So you need to be sure that there's no way that these will be opposite. So for example, if I was going to writing here, if I was going to write like 0, 1 or something, I definitely cannot have them mirrored, because then you would get 0, 1 over here, but it would be mirrored. It would be flipped. So I can't do that. If I know there's going to be no writing whatsoever, and I know that it's just going to be like, I don't know, some metal material, nobody's going to really notice if they're exact mirror images, then yeah, we can just copy those. But yeah, writing and decals would be one of the big ones. Directional decals would be one of the big ones. But if it's okay for you, it's okay for you. Happy days. So I will probably just grab these edges. Let me know if I'm going too fast or anyone's missing something, or this. Actually, let me try this. No, it doesn't work. Super annoying. Sometimes it doesn't work. Just FYI, I did go back to Maya trying to figure out whether it would be easier for unwrapping, but no. I don't think it is. This actually does more. Okay, cool. So that's split around. So these are 3 separate pieces now, which is great. We can test that by just... You can see it here. Oh god, why did I unwrap it too? Oh, okay, because of the internal piece. That's fair enough. So I'm really going to replicate what they've just done here. I was going to do that anyway. So this piece here, and again, it depends. This little inside, like, am I going to make this glow? I don't know. You know, like it would be easy if you had a concept art, so I know if this piece is separate or if it's connected to the metal. Because if it's separate, like maybe a different color, I think I'll unwrap this by itself. I think I will do that. So this one I can probably quick peel. Not great. Not great. Well, no, it's okay actually. Yeah, it's okay. Let's see what the full peel does. Much of a muchness. But the benefit of the full peel is it does add the seams for me. So that's great. And then I think I should just be able to unwrap the whole other piece by itself. I do need to give it like a seam cut because it's going to like unfold, and right now it's like a cylinder almost. I think I'll cut it here because no one's ever going to see that from the back here. And I'm not even going to do anything for the inside. I think this will work. Let's see. It'll squish the insides. Yep, you can see the inside squished in there, but I think that's okay. Let me have a look at it from the front. No, not great. Kind of want to keep the. I kind of want to keep the square shape, if you know what I mean. So I probably don't want to do that. So I'll probably get the inside. I may be going too anal because this is a foot. But I do think I want to keep the inside separate. Because I wanted to keep its shape as much as possible. Whenever you unwrap, you want to flatten it, but also keep its shape. And you can see like this is almost like a cube. And what I was unwrapping, it's kind of like stretched out into a spade, which I don't really want. So I'll unwrap this into this piece, that should be okay. And now, when I unwrap this piece, hopefully that should work okay. Yeah, it looks a bit better. It's not doing very well, so let's try to relax it by edge angles instead. And there we go. Much better. And actually, let me try something. I don't know this will work. I'm just going to try it. Let's try to re-unwrap it. Because the inside was pushing it out before. That's why we didn't get this nice square shape. But let's see what happens if we use edge angles to unwrap it. But I'll keep the inside as well. So am I on edge angles? Yes. Start to pelt. Start relax. Nope, doesn't work. Maybe if I add more iterations. Nope. Nope. So I do kind of need to split out the internal if I want to keep it as nice as it is, which I do. I do kind of want to keep it as nice as it is. So let's do it that way. Settings by edge angles. Let's do by polygon. And I don't really care about the inside because it's only a tiny little piece in there. Oh, that's already unwrapped. Okay, cool. Great stuff. Alright, then I'll do these pieces. So now I know that these pieces already have this giant hole in the middle of them because I'm after cutting out the central piece. So they have this giant gap in between. What I also want to do is, again, like on this upper area, I want to keep these areas, if I can, seam free because I might have like a metal texture or a grain or something, and I want to keep it like wrapping around. I won't be able to get away with no seams, so I want to get away with as fewer seams as possible. So I think what I'll do is, go to edges, I'll cut this out like that. So this is going all the way around, and it joins to this cut seam. So this cut actually goes all the way around because we just did this blue seam here. Let's do a cut here as well. So this whole piece should open up, and this whole piece should open up. And then we'll just mirror that on the other side. Okay, so that whole piece. Let's see how we can. It'll need to come up here. I want to open it like a butterfly. So I guess I will have to seam these if I want to make it neat, and I do kind of want to make it neat. So I'll have it like that, and then this whole strip that goes all the way around, we will probably cut a seam like here maybe. That makes sense. Yeah, I think so. In the middle. Let's convert them all to seams. Let's see whether I did right. Start to pelt, and I am relaxing by polygon. Okay. Oh, it hasn't. Did I accidentally cut the other piece off? Oh, I did. Lol. Okay. Then let's add a seam here, and let's add no seams here. There we go. And you can kind of wait for a while. Sometimes it gets a little wonky. But if it doesn't work, we'll move to the... no, that's working. We'll move to the edge angles. But this looks like it's working. I'm also a Dumbo and have lost this piece. Yes, because I keep seaming these. So let's do that one more time. Cool. So they're all one piece. Now, this is not the only way I can do it. I could also just as easily like grab this whole piece here and go do a planar map because this is all like flat, you know. I could, yeah, it is being recorded. It's still recording, and it looks like it's picking up my mic. So I think this is working. So I can do a planar map of this whole thing, and you should see what that looks like. Boop. So it looks like it took a photo of it, pretty much. It's a little stretched for some reason. Is it? No, that's what it looks like. And then I can do the same for the other side. So again, it really depends what option you want to do. So I can do another planar map. And that's just the exact opposite. You can see that. And I can even... Let's flip this horizontally. And I should be able to do that as well. And we can group all of that. So that's slightly faster and slightly easier. And then this piece is just a piece by itself. And we can do a straighten. It's a little, I don't know if you can see it in the video. It's slightly wonky, very slightly. It's probably fine, but I can just hit a straighten selection and it's now just straighten. Be careful with straighten. It only really works if it's like pretty much almost straight. If you do something that's like this and you try to straighten selection, I think this is gonna, yeah, screw it all up. So it kind of only works on stuff that's pretty much already straight. So do be careful with that. Yeah, so that's it. That's it already unwrapped. And in fact, with something like this, I would probably like have deleted this whole piece and just copy pasted this. But you know, instead we can do the opposite. Let's bring that out again. You go on there. You planar map you. And we need to flip that to flip horizontal. Group all of that jazz. And then this strip as well. Where did we cut it on the other side? Down there. So just add one strip here. And unwrap that. Oh, did something go wrong? Did it? Oh, it did. Oh, because for some reason it has a thing here. Okay. Maybe I when I double clicked it didn't select all the way around, I think. Yeah, I think that's what happened. So that's my bad. Well, let's treat it as max as bad. Start relax. Commit. Let's rotate that so it's pretty much straight. We'll do a straighten selection on it. Oop. And then all we need to do is... We don't have to do this, but it is nice and optimized. We can literally just overlay them on top of each other. Cool, and then we'll group those as well. So these are now grouped. Job done. This entire weird piece is done. And also actually pretty optimized because now it'll, all of these sides, if I just texture one of them, they'll all be textured. And the same with these two pieces. If I texture one side, it'll texture both. So it's pretty handy. Okay, so let me do... Are you all okay with like something like this, the cylinder piece? I think that should be okay, right? I'd probably
Yeah.
unwrap this middle cylinder first, and then the side bit, the barbell bit later. That should be fine, right? Or do you want me to do it anyway?
It's probably similar enough to the other cow can shape you showed us, isn't it?
Yeah, it'd be very similar. It would literally just be like I'd grab this whole piece, I'd cut a slice, and slice that with one flap there, and that's... Oh, jeez, let's just do it. Why not? It's not too hard. So this one should go all the way around. Yep, it does. Let's do it for all of them. And... two. Okay, and then we'll make the seam here, I guess, and one little flap there. Convert that, and we'll make one seam in the middle. Convert that. So that means this piece should open up as a little flap. Start relax. Job done. That one's happy. And this piece, now again, this depends. Actually, to be fair, this is a little tricky one. So it depends on whether I care that much about this inside. But let's imagine that I really care. Let's imagine like someone's going to see this part. So there's two things I can do. I can either like cut this whole piece out here, like with a planar map or a pelt by itself. So meaning I would do it like something like that. Cut it all out by itself. I can do that. Or I could also, and depending on how I'm going to texture it, I could also... Oh, I've lost it. And Max has gone crazy. Where did it go? It's down here. I could also do like little panels that open up. So I'm selecting all of these. So either way is fine. I'll do the panels because I just want to show you what it looks like. So let's select all of this. Let's expand that. Start pelt. Start relax. You see there's little panels popping off the side. And then this piece is the front is here. So it really depends. You could do it the other way as well. So I can grab all of these all the way around and pelt them so it's its own little piece as well. And it really depends how I'm going to texture it. Cool. There we go. Job done. That cylinder is done. Okay, and then let's go for something like this, because this is a little complex. Not really, but... So for something like this, I think what I will do a seam here, do a seam there. So I want that whole top piece to stay the same, because people are going to be looking down at the foot. So I want this piece to be together. And then I want like wraparounds on this piece, so I don't want a seam here. So I want to keep that there. There. Let's see what else. Okay. So this is going to unwrap by itself. The middle piece is going to unwrap by itself. The bottom piece... Oh, it's already cut open, so that's great. And then I'll probably just do the whole internal piece by itself, because no one cares about the internal piece. I don't think. Let's put a seam here, just in case. Just in case you can see this bit. I'm not sure if you can, but I think you might be able to. So no one cares about the internal piece. I probably don't even need to unwrap it, but as a responsible person, I will unwrap it. So that's unwrapped, done. Then this whole outside piece should unwrap like a little weird shape here. Boop. There we go. Oh, did I actually? Oh no, that's correct. Yeah. So it's a little kind of fold out like that. Meaning, so if I put like a texture, it'll roll over, and it'll roll over in this end. There's a seam here and a seam here, but that's fine. It's not the worst. Don't notice it that much here, I don't think. And then finally on the foot, like this one is a box, so I think you're okay with that. It's this piece, and again, this piece, let's grab that, because this probably will be a separate piece to this, maybe a different color. Even if it's not, I think we'll keep it a separate piece because then we can hide. If you think about like when you add an occlusion map, it'll add occlusion here on the shadows because these are like angle changes. So even if there's like a slight misseam here, it'll be hidden away. So I'm okay with that. So let's edit seams. Just thinking in my head how I want to do this. I'll probably cut a panel like that. So this will wrap on top. And cut a panel here. Same again, so it wraps on top. And that will be alright, I think. I haven't cut seams all the way in the bottom, but that's okay because when I just select the whole thing like that and do a pelt, it'll automatically add seams there. And great stuff. So that's that model. That's the front of it there. Let me rotate it. Oop. That's the front, so the texture will wrap around here, will wrap around there, and it'll wrap onto the top. And it'll actually wrap all the way around to the back. So that's great. And then now it's the bottom. So this one is slightly weird. I think what I'll do is I'll hide the corners. So there'll be seams in the corners, but that will allow me to wrap around here. So if I have a texture, it'll wrap around the big part. Like they won't match in the corners, but the corners are very small. So having a seam there isn't really that much of a problem. And then the bottom piece, shall we keep it together? Let's just keep it together, because why not? So then I will add a seam here. And that will allow, and here, and here. So that will allow the whole bottom flap to be like a little flap by itself as well. So this should, I may need to go to edge angles, but let's see. This should allow me to, yep, so there's that whole top piece there. All the little flaps off the side, that's for the side pieces, and this is the bottom piece. But if I relax, you should see it more perfect. That actually is pretty good. And that's how I would have that piece. So that way I have a lot of wrap around here, so I don't have any texture seams, and even all the way around. And I have like just little texture seams on the side, but they're so small you won't notice them. Hopefully. Cool. And that is the foot unwrapped. And then with all these unwraps, let me just grab the whole foot, except that piece, of course. And if I want to pack it then, we should see, hopefully, that these that I grouped before, and these that I grouped, if I pack them, actually let me just get everything else out of the way. Shoo. So imagine that the foot was like the entire model. So if I packed it, boop, oh, allow it to rotate. I don't know why they don't allow it to rotate by default. Oh, I know why. Because if you want to keep it straight or whatever. But in this case, let's... And the padding is how much distance they have to have between each other. So I'll do that. And I usually like have to do it a few times. Oh, there we go. And yeah, if I move that out, you can see that they kept... That's all the grouped pieces they kept together. And this is the other grouped one, and that kept together. You can tell because if I move that, yeah, they're on top of each other. Right, so that is useful for optimization purposes. So you just get like a little bit extra. Every little extra you do. Now, one thing that Max won't do and doesn't know how to do, it is smart about keeping everything relative to the same size that they are. So as in, if it's tiny here in the model, it'll be tiny in the texture, which is kind of what you want. Not always. Sometimes, like especially for faces, especially like like this piece, for example, if it's something that everyone's going to be looking at, maybe I might manually go in there and like scale that up after Max has done its job, and then try to make space for it. So Max obviously doesn't know that. It doesn't know areas that you want to have higher resolution. And it also doesn't know holes. Like this little... Let me grab this whole thing. And let's rotate that. I would like that to be straight if possible. It doesn't know that I can fit like all of this stuff in here. This can go in there. This can go in there. because like it's not, there's nothing in there, so I can totally use it as texture space, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like this can go in there. And if I want to do that manually, for example, I can do that manually and then select them all and then group them. And that way the next time Max repacks them, or the next time I repack them, it'll keep these all together, but I'm using up texture space here where there was nothing there before. Right, so that is one weakness of Mac. I think all the unwrapping default ones, unless you pay for one of those special scripts, they don't recognize the internal areas. And there are certain studios that will say don't do this as well. I haven't seen many, but certain ones will. I don't know why. Not they don't like this.
What would be the reason? Just
For not having them inside?
yeah, like for them to read.
I guess if you're doing like a stylized texture, like if you're doing like a if you're painting it in Photoshop, it might be annoying if you're like you have this and you're painting the whole thing and you need to like make a mask. It's not a real big deal. I don't know, to be honest. I don't think there's a big reason not to. Yeah, personally, I don't know. Maybe there's something I don't know about, but I in my travels haven't seen a reason why that would be a problem.
I
Yeah.
have a question about unwrapping as well. Say you have a square and you apply an unwrap modifier to it, and then you add another square and you add the unwrap modifier to it separately. Is there a way to access the modifier on both of them, even though you added them separately?
Okay, so let me just do it here to see if I understand. So I have a box or something, and then I unwrap that. Okay, so I add an unwrap modifier. And do you want me to unwrap it? Or just unwrap it?
Yeah, or just add the unwrap and then you add another box as well and add an unwrap modifier.
Okay, so another box. Oops. Completely different box here, and also another unwrap modifier. And then what am I doing?
And then if you select both of them, the unwrap modifier doesn't show up for the two of them?
No, it won't, because these will be two separate objects. So they don't work like that. So each individual one will have its own unwrap modifier. You can do stuff where like you do multiple objects and you put an unwrap UVW on both of those. And this, you see the way it's...
That resets the original unwrap then, doesn't it?
No, it should reference their unwraps. It should. Let's test it real quick. But you should ideally most of the time be merging them anyway. It'd be rare that you would unwrap two different pieces. But let's try it. So let's go to open. I'm just going to do a really shitty UV unwrap just to test whether this works, and I think it should work. So by default, it's like every face takes up the whole thing. So I'm just gonna shove this box to top left. That's it. And then the other one I'll do to top right. UV editor, but it should remember. Bottom right. Let's go bottom right. Okay, cool. And then I grab both of those. That's applied because they're on them, and then I add unwrap UVW to both of those. Cool. Open UV editor. They should be. Where's my UV editor gone? Oh. Come here. Yeah, there they are, and they keep both of the unwraps. So
okay. I don't know why that didn't work on something I was working on, but it must have been something else.
I don't know. I haven't, and I should be able to select everything. So, yeah, that's what you're asking, was it?
Yeah, that's it must have been something else that caused it. Thanks.
No, but okay. So, any other unwrap questions, or should I move on to cloth and stuff like that, or any other piece that you want to see unwrapped that you're confused? Let me put it on screen. Otherwise, I'll move on to the next bits. Gonna take that as a no. Right, so imagine I have this already unwrapped. Let me use this side. So let's pretend that side was the unwrap side. What I would do then is I would just make a duplicate of the whole thing. Just copy the whole thing. Copy. And I can, because I've snapped it to the center, I'll just snap it back. And I'll do a mirror. So there's a mirror here. And you would mirror axis, yes. On the x-axis, it will be a copy. And we will mirror the geometry. Oh, actually, sorry, we should have mirrored the transform. I made a mistake. Transform. And then we can just add the back. Cool, perfect. And then we'll just reattach it back to the original model, and we're done. So again, that's why you would do one side first. So once that's unwrapped, you just duplicate it, and happy days. If you duplicate it, it will keep its unwrap. It'll still be fine. So we don't need to re-unwrap 10 different things. So again, when it came to like stuff like railings or like planks or whatever, just do one of them, unwrap one of them, and then you can duplicate them later. There are ways to duplicate them as an instance, and that way if you unwrap one of them, it'll unwrap all of them as well. But I do find that sometimes gets a bit messy. But if you do want to do that, it's like I think it's an instance. So if I make a copy, let's do like 4. It's either instance. I think it's instance, and then I think if I unwrap one of them, it'll unwrap all of them. Let me test, because they should all follow if I mess with it. Yeah, so they're all following what the main fella does. So there are instances of this one. So you can do that as well, but I do find it messy. Either instances or references, I do find they can get a little convoluted. But if you wanted to do that, you can. Cool. Any questions before we move on? Okay, I'm gonna keep in this scene for the next part. So the next part I was going to show you was cloth modifiers. So let's just use a real simple plane. And what a cloth modifier does is it creates a simulation, cloth simulation on something, but you generally need, remember, like you always need polygons in order to have angle changes, and to make something look like cloth, it needs to have loads of polygons, because it needs to conform to like clothy shapes, like if there's a lot of deformation. So let us add a few more segments here. Maybe that's fine. We can add more later. Let's do 15 by 15. Cool. And we will do a cloth on this, and I would like to drape this over the bottom. I probably shouldn't do this because it's a very complex shape. Let me just hide this. I'll do a simpler shape. Like, it'll work, it just might take a while to simulate. So let's do a simple shape. Convert to edible poly. And let's attach the other box sphere. Okay. So that's all one piece, and I want this cloth to simulate draping over this piece. Great stuff. So all I need to do is add a cloth modifier to it. Cool. And then in the cloth modifier, got object properties. And this is where I would, you can add objects for simulating, but obviously because I added the cloth modifier to this plane 001 object, it knows that it's going to use this. So this is a cloth object. Cool. I do have presets. You can mess with all of this if you want to, but I can do presets which are like the basic kind of, let's do wet cloth. And we have no pressure because we don't have a volume. It's like a plane. It's like perfectly flat. So, but we'll do pressure in a second. Let's add objects. Let's add the box. Where's my? I think it's crashed. Oh, sorry. It opened the screen on the other screen. So the only other thing I have visible is the box, so that's great. Add the box, and the box will be something called a collision object. So it will collide. I'm going to leave these as the basic stuff for now. We'll see how that works. Sometimes you'll need to tweak these, but let's see. Oh, if you have like cuts cloth, if the cloth is too heavy and like you have a sharp edge, it will cut the cloth as well. So you can do stuff like that. Be rare that you want to do that, but Earth, there's gravity here, so you can just hit Earth and it'll just do Earth gravity, or you can turn off gravity. But let's simulate. Yay! And it drapes over.
That is pretty.
And then we stop simulation. So there are some issues. So like you can see, like there's some little folds and stuff like that. But more or less it works. Oh, sorry, Max is hanging. More or less it works pretty well. Let us reset state. Sorry. And what I'll do is I'll add even more segments, and you should see that I get more accuracy. Let's go to 50. Let's get some pretty shapes. But you can see the issue, right? Like we're slowly adding much more. Now the other thing you can see, and you can see that it's well slow now, but it looks so much more cloth-like.
Oh man, that must be super taxing.
I mean, you can see what's happening, and this is like
Yeah.
not so. This is kind of why cloth simulation is a problem in game engines. And the other problem is this, where they're clipping through each other. And it's possibly because I'm using wet cloth, so wet cloth will drape down a lot. And it... Whoa, stop simulating. Okay, so that's it there. And it's pretty good though, except for the clipped edges. So let me reset the state. And actually let me drop it down to 35 by 35. Let's go back to cloth. And let's go back to the object properties. So I was using wet cloth. Let's do rubber. The other thing that I was doing is, where's the thing for, let's add a bit more thickness to it so it doesn't fold onto itself quite as much. But
If
every
you
time...
Sorry, but if you do the cloth simulation, then you stop the simulation, can you then pick it up and move it like it's a solid object?
So this is what I'm going to do. Yeah, I can stop it at any time. I just need to hit the simulate local. Let me turn off the depth a little less because the offset, because you can see like it was starting to already detect the circle further up than the circle actually was, which is usually actually what you want. It was starting to detect around here, but I just want it a little bit less. The reason why you want that is because when you get to sharp edges, if you don't have that offset, it'll clip through a lot of the time. So let's do a little simulate local again. Ah, well, it's still adding. Come on. Oh, it's rubber, so it's going to stretch as well. I don't know if you can see that. It's kind of stretching. Oh, and you would 100% unwrap this before doing the simulation, because good luck to you unwrapping after.
That sounds painful.
Yeah, no, unwrap it before, because when you unwrap it before, it's just like a plane, a box or whatever.
Looks like it's vacuum packing.
Yeah, because it's rubber, so it'll kind of wrap around quite a lot more. And there you go. That's cloth.
Have fun with
And then if you want to keep this is not kept, by the way. This is not. You can make a copy. Oh, did I make an instance? Oh well.
Yeah.
Who cares? I'll convert to edible poly, and that's it. It is now like that. It is an edible poly. All right. So it's that by itself. It's a normal edible poly. So the cloth animation part is gone. Okay. So now let's leave that one there. Let's say, well, say I want to make a little puffy pillow that goes on top of this. So I'm going to start with a box. Add a few segments, maybe not that many. Yeah, a few. Okay. And should I do a push? Maybe let's do a small push on it. Probably don't need to, but let's add a small push. Kind of want to round it out a little before we start. Okay. And let's do a smoothing groups thing and edit poly smoothing groups so they're all smooth, because I don't want it to look like a box. Smoothing groups. Oh, clear all. And one. Cool. So it's relatively puffy. Probably could get away with a bit more segments, but sure, this should be enough. Scale it down a tiny bit. Let's put it over. Cool. Alright. Hopefully this one just bounce off and fuck off somewhere else. Alright, so add a cloth modifier. And this time in the object properties, this will be a cloth. Let's make it a generic cloth. But also let's add some pressure inside it. So that will kind of puff it up a little bit. Let's add a little damping. And then let's add the other cloth as a collision object. That should work. Okay, so that'll be a collision object. Thank you. Box is a cloth. Okay. And the gravity is fine. Let's put it here. Let's simulate. Whoopa. Okay, I probably need more pressure. But you can kind of see it looks like a floppy kind of blanket. Let's reset.
And you also might want to turn off the force field. It had a force field on the sphere.
So if you remember that I was saying that is the
offset and depth.
the depth and the offset. So you kind of need a bit of that. Well, let's do very little. And way more pressure. Puff. No, don't fall. Damn it. Damn you. Okay, let's reset and let's just stop it at that side.
Don't let me go, Jack.
Okay, cool. That's it. And there we go. Puffy little thing. And the same, I'll just make an edit poly, and I can make a copy and make an editable poly, and it'll go into anything I want. But again, I definitely want to keep these unwrapped first before I do all this crap. Because again, good luck unwrapping this. Well, it's not too bad, but still, it's easier to unwrap when it was a box. Now the final cloth thing that I'll do, I won't do the clothes, because once you know all the stuff, the clothes is pretty simple. I'll just post that video in. It really is quite easy. What clipping? Oh, you mean here? Yeah, I will. So again, that's why I would unwrap before. And then that way, if you have already unwrapped this and you bring it to substance, it'll be fine. You just add some occlusion there or something like that. We probably, if this was a proper AAA studio environment, would redo this simulation, tweaking all the settings until we didn't get these clippings. That's what we should do. But because I'm a lazy boy, we're not doing that. But yes, we should do that. It really is that there's no like rule. It depends so much on like your shape, your size, how many segments you have. So there's no hard and fast rule for which settings to do, which is what makes it real tough to deal with. Okay, so the last thing I want to do, and I will definitely reduce the poly count here. So I want to make curtains. I want to make like drapes and curtains. So this, I'll call that curtain, just so it's easier to understand. Okay, and let me add, I'm going to add 2 boxes, and they're not going to be models. They're just going to be used as like control points, if that makes sense. I could use a dummy, but I'll use a box because it's easier. Give me one sec. Cool. All right, so look at it from the top. Ah, there we go. It's kind of annoying the way all these 3D programs do that. So I'll make one box like so. No segments. So I don't need it. And this will be like if you imagine the top of the curtain. Here. Make that transparent so I can see through it. And let me make a copy of that. Like this would be like maybe something to gather at the middle of the curtain. Something like that. So let me add cloth modifier again. Cool. Great stuff. Object properties. I am a cloth. Curtain is a cloth. Okay. Now, instead of doing a collision, in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to look at groups. And we're going to group all of these here. These will be a group. So all these vertices, that'll be top of curtain. So I'm grouping them all together. And what I can do with that is I can, loads of stuff shows up, but really what I care about is I want to assign these to a node. So I'll add a node, which would be this guy. So the top of the curtain, all these vertices are now going to follow that box. Now let me do the same for these. Make a group, mid curtain, and all of these will node to that box. And now if I go to the cloth and simulate, they're going to follow what these boxes do. So you'll see that. Simulate local. It's not really doing anything. Yeah, you can. I don't know if you saw that. It's kind of bobbing a bit below, but that's because they're following what the box is doing, which is correct. That's what I want it to do. So if I now squish this, I'm gathering my little curtain together. Let's move it over
That's
here.
so cool.
So powerful.
It's pretty good, isn't it? Let's squish the top as well. Now just wait for it to calm down. But yeah, this is what you need to be careful of. Like you will get, and you can only really get rid of this by trying to mess with them so it doesn't. Maybe I'll scale it out a bit. Come on, buddy. Ah, go away. I'm messing it up more. No, it's perfect except for that I probably need more polys, or maybe a different, what do you call it, cloth modifier. But let's say you've done that a few times. You tweak the cloth modifier. I probably need something like a heavy velvet or a burlap or something, so it doesn't fold in on each other as much. But again, when you're done with that, just need to convert it to edible poly and Bob's your uncle. Job done. Great stuff. I actually don't know if that's... Oh no. Is that actually overlapping? It is, yeah. It's awful. So I would have
And should
to...
these cloths like always have a bit of volume, like never just be plains?
No. Like, you can make them planes. Like, in a curtain, there's almost always a plane. If you look at games, like if you go into their... Why can't I get rid of the animation? Oh no. What are you rendering? I can't get rid of you. When you look at like in-game curtains, they're almost always a plane. Maybe with a double-sided material sometimes. The only real time you need a volume is like something like a pillow. You don't really need a volume otherwise. But again, it depends. Like if you want to really make sure that there's no clipping, sometimes I've seen people put a volume and put like pressure inside it so it doesn't clip over each other. But I think you're better off keeping a plane and messing with the cloth settings in order to try and get it not to fold over each other. Okay, something's happening. It's not letting me get out of here. Okay, I may need to close Max, but I think I think we're done pretty much. With, am I missing anything else in Max? Sorry, I'm just trying to scroll up to see what I typed last week about what we were doing this week. Does anyone remember anything else?
Cards.
I have something you didn't put in it, but making a wall, like, like a cobblestone wall, like the kind of a noise effect on it. I was messing around with noise, and I don't know if noise is the right modifier to use.
So in the game, if it's cobblestone, you want to make actual cobblestones, do you? A full, like, round.
Well, I don't. I want to make it stone, but like the way like a cobblestone wall would be like wavy, like kind of warped, like in and out, and not completely flat.
Oh, okay, that's pretty. You could do an FFD on it. You could do a path and ask it to follow the path. If you're talking about like starting with an actual box, like a flat box, and then making it bulge out, that's something called like displacement. So you would be using like a black and white map. It is fairly complex. You would take like a black and white map. You would have to have loads of polys on the wall, and then you would have to add it on there. If I was going to do it, if I were you, I'd probably do it in Mudbox, to be honest. So I'd start with a box and kind of sculpt it to the shape I want, and then stamp on the cobblestones onto it as a stamp brush, and then retopologize that. I actually think that would be easier.
Okay.
Because the way that I'm talking about the displacement map stuff, that's kind of older. Not really. It still use a lot. But I do think it may be easier the way I'm saying. The Mudbox way. Or ZBrush way. Whatever.
There we go. Thanks.
No worries. Okay. Oh, we need to do hair cards in this. Dang it. Okay. I don't know what's happened to my Max, so I'm just going to force quit it. So we need to do a hair card, or a leaf card, or whatever it is. That should be pretty simple. I actually did not save. Imagine if I actually wanted that. Be crying. Come on, Max. Are you launching? Ugh. What's wrong with you? My CPU. I've got Max open, and Substance Painter, and Substance Designer. It's not going to go well.
Which one do you have?
Which one do I have?
Yeah,
What do you mean, which one? Like, which Max type?
CPU.
Oh, don't know. It's like 5-year-old laptop at this stage.
Really get an Alienware next time you upgrade.
I think I will, because I think I want to keep the external amplifier thing going. That's pretty good, gotta say. But who knows? Who knows how long they'll support that? Because I'm not sure if the latest Alienware laptops have the port for it. No, last year's did, like this year's generation did. I don't know if the latest ones will. Oh, I guess
Is
it
it
did.
Thunderbolt? Is it Thunderbolt?
No, it has its own proprietary Alienware special connector thing. Like if it was Thunderbolt, then I could use any eGPU. But I do think the Alienware connector is actually pretty good. Like I can't remember the tech specs, but I think it's slightly better than Thunderbolt. But I could be wrong, because it's a massive port. Like it's huge.
Yeah, I think I have that as well.
You should, I think, on your when you bought yours. Okay, So I'm still just waiting for it to not be. What's this guy? Is that 2 of them? Yeah, it's 2 of them. Go away. Alright, so cards. Simple. Make a plane. That's my card. Done. So let's say, when would I be using a card? So imagine I'm going to do a little crappy tree. Just be a really crappy tree. Let's make it a super low poly. Let's give it some cylinder FFD. Won't even give it a path. So we're doing a really silly little tree. Cool. Grab that piece. You go up here. Okay. Convert to editable poly. And then let's add the. Let's do a thing where. Let me show you an example. I'm pretty sure I have an example from Sketchfab. So, oh yeah, this fella here. It's done it. So I think, if I remember right, this model has what I'm trying to show you. Yes, it does. So if we look at that tree there, that is a bunch of cards. You can see all those little cards, but it also has, and like, you don't have to have cards with something like this simple. You could probably just do the top of a cylinder, but let's do proper cards. And then it has like kind of blobs on the bottom that are just wireframe. Kind of like little spheres, really. So it's a sphere to give like bottom color, and then loads of cards on top of it. So you can kind of see what they're doing there. Okay, dokes. So let's go back to maximum. Let's do that sphere, and I'm doing like a well crappy version of it. Why are we getting so many Brooklyn Nine-Nine memes in chat? And a card, usually, unless you're having, you can curl it or bend it or whatever, but unless you are doing that, you don't need the segments. So I'm not going to do that. Y'all aren't cool enough to be whole. Come on, like. I also will need to change if I want multiple colors. So if I go back to the inspiration one, go back to the final render, you can see there's 3 different colors, or 4 even. It's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, well, loads of colors. So each one of these is a different card. Like, they're all duplicates. All these cards are duplicates, but for each different color variation, you'll need a different card. Let's just do 2, because we're lazy. Okay, then let's just let's do an attach all of them. And let's do an unwrap. I mean, even Jake, I don't know. Okay. I'm not even going to bother properly unwrapping them. Let's just pack everything. Stop trying to make yourselves all look, but you're all Charles. Come on, admit it. Everyone in this chat is Charles. Yeah, I'm sorry. You're all Charles and like variations in the Boyle family, so let's get over it.
Who's Charles?
Don't worry about it. Do you watch Brooklyn Nine-Nine?
Oh, sadly, I don't. My brother and sister. Never got into it. I really should.
It's only peer pressure. Okay.
It's only.
I can now get at a 3ds Max. I'm pretty sure I don't need it for anything else. So I can go to texture right now. But what I would do then after our texture would be edit poly. Would be that I would be taking all these leaves and duplicating them around the model. Like so. And I would just then very painstakingly, very manually. Oh, why is it doing that? Ooh, what's happening? There is strangeness happening here. Is this a new Max thing? This should just duplicate. Ugh. Why you do this?
Maybe you have a setting on because I think that like it normally works for me that way.
Yeah. Let me just attach it and I'll just copy them detached. It'd just be easier. Okay. Come on, you. There we go. And so basically I would just be going around manually messing all of these and putting them all in place on the tree. Okay, I'm just going to do that because I'm lazy. So let's export that and we can go to texture. Brendan is Amy. Of course the Amy wouldn't understand why they're Amy. Now where's my substance painter? Ah, come on, substance. Substance Y. Okay, here we go. So, let's make a new. tree. Okie dokes. Alright, so let's just do a basic wood. It's a polished tree because why not? Lol. Well, we could reduce the roughness. Or increase the roughness even. Okay, and then we'll go to, actually let's add a black mass to that. And you only affect this area. Then let's get some, sure, let's get some moss in there, why not? I'm just doing this real quick. Okay. So let's say I want to do this card. I want to tweak it. So where are the cards? They are here. Oh no, I forgot to separate them. Anyway, whatever. So I have one card, and you can see it's not being a card. Let's say I want this to be a leaf shape. So all I need to do is make sure in the texture set settings I have opacity. If I don't have opacity, let's say it's gone, I just need to plus and add opacity. It opened the menu on the other screen, so you didn't see that, but you just hit plus and select opacity. And on the layers, let me just add a entire fill layer that does nothing except control opacity. And this entire fill layer is 0 opacity, so it doesn't show anything. Then I'll give it a black mask, meaning that it doesn't affect anything. And I can then, if I want to, paint it in myself. So I can paint it in, or I can stamp it in. You can see like where I'm painting, or I can paint it here as well. But wherever I'm painting, it's going to disappear. And if I want to paint on the UV layer, where is it painting? Should be here. Yeah, it is here. If I want to paint the UV layer, I probably need to change my brush settings so the alignment is to the UV. Because that way, that'll...
Is that one of the other cards that went on top of it?
One of the other what, sorry?
The
Yeah,
other
possible.
card that went.
Yeah, you're probably exactly right. It's probably I forgot to remove them. But anyway. Sure, you know the concept, because I wasn't unwrapping it properly. So there you go. And you can imagine if I had loads of those, they would all just be little leaves sticking out. Happy days. That's how you would do that. On the opacity channel. And that's a card. Done. So once you like do, especially like if you have only a few cards and if you lay them out in the UV, you just need to erase them off in the UV, and it'll propagate to all the other copies that are in your model. Any questions on that? Look at my lovely tree. Look at that. Gorgeous.
Is there any method for distributing the cards along
Oh.
the surface or anything like that?
Why, Bren? Why'd you ask me now? Why'd you ask
I
me
think
when I was in 3D?
the array.
I'm not saying you gotta show us. Just
Yeah,
is there
so
something
there,
like that?
yeah, there is an array, and there, not array, a line. So there's an align thing where you can like set a path, and you can do. Oh, remember I showed you where I showed you like you follow the spline and you duplicate the thing. We duplicated Cat O' Lantern along the path.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That. So if you just draw a path around and just like tell it duplicate loads, it'll just duplicate
Okay.
loads. Yeah. All right. So
Where like you made the question mark thing like follow it.
not
get
that
it
one.
to-
That was to deform it. But there was
Okay.
one which I pretty sure was recorded, where there was a path. It's like you basically duplicate along the path. So if you search like 3ds Max duplicate along a path, you use the align tool. Let me see if I can find, and I'll link it in chat if I do. So 3ds Max duplicate object along spline. Well, there's a video here that does that. Spacing tool. Pretty sure this is the one. Yeah, and it'll just like copy along a path or a spline, or you can copy over the surface of an object, whatever. But I'll put that into asset design. Okay, we have like 5 minutes left. I will real quickly show you how to make your own material in Substance Designer. So you can go crazy in Substance Designer. There's loads of nodes. If anyone's used like the shader graph or VFX tool, any of those things, they kind of do similar things. There's tons of like nodes in there. But I'm just going to show you real quick how to create your own material. So I will do it's Substance Designer. Substance Designer. You can either do a new substance or a MDL. Don't worry about MDL materials. They're like, we don't use them. They're for other things. Let's add a new substance. We want PBR metallic roughness. Excuse me. And come on. Cool. So it's a new graph. We could rename that. Super cool material. All right, and then we get like this little node graph here, and we get a example of what our material will look like. You can change from a cube to a sphere and stuff like that. So like, oh, sorry. So you can change to like torus. So it just depends what you want to use your material for. But usually I find the cube or the maybe the matte ball if you want to see what it looks like on our edges and stuff. But usually I find the cube works pretty well, or the rounder cube, sorry, works pretty well, or a cylinder. Again, depends what you want to use it for. Scatter is actually a good one as well. Yeah, good shout. Scatter is pretty okay if you can control what it does. Just be careful because usually when you see like this, you kind of want to space them in certain areas. So you want to keep them. You want some control so the light stuff stays together.
Yeah, you don't want it.
Yeah, you don't want to go overshot.
Completely random.
Yeah. But yes, scatter is pretty good for that. Good shout. Okay, let me find a rando material. Don't care what it is. So let's say you're a super great painter and you just drew something. Oh, I should have said texture. Texture. You drew something lovely. Let's work with this. I like this. Yeah, let's work with this. So save image as. Thank you to I don't know who, Pinterest. Well. Oh, GG, whoever actually made that. All of the substance tools were on the lesser requirements. Alchemy was there as well. We haven't done alchemy yet. That's pretty cool as well. But let's try. Yeah, let's try using this one. That one should be okay. So all I need to do is bring that in. So that is on downloads. Where is it? Asset design. Material. Okay, so it's just here, right? I just need to drag it in. Boop, done. I can either link it or import. Doesn't really matter. Let's just import it. So that way, if I share that file, it'll have the link there as well. No. No, designer. No. No. I blame all the GIFs.
Rest in peace.
Yep, rip. Oh, there we go. Just took a while. Alright, so basically, all I have from this is a color. So if I dump this, these are all the channels that this material is using. So I can click on this input and just like change color. You should see it changing here. Or I can assign it an input. Boop. And that's assigning, so I don't need this at all. That's assigning this as an input. But I only have color, right? Like you can see here, it looks pretty nice. It's tiling and everything. It's actually a great material, whoever made this. Or great texture. It doesn't have any like depth on it, which is kind of annoying. So I can go to Photoshop and like do my own stuff, which is what you would have done in the old days. Or I can do this thing, just search here, called bitmap2 material. It is a node, let's dump it in here, that takes two inputs. So it takes a diffuse, so the color, and it takes metallic. And metallic it needs to take because it has no idea which areas I want to be metallic or not metallic. Happily, this texture, I don't need to do a metallic on it because it's all rock. So it'll all have the same amount of metallicity, i.e. none. But if I wanted to say like this area to be metallic and this area not to be, I would have to make my own map, like black and white map of like everything black will be non-metallic, everything white will be metallic, grey will be in between, depending on the shade of grey. So let's add that to the diffuse, and the output will be the diffuse. Perfect. So that's grand. The output is the diffuse. However, we also have the normal and the glossiness, metallic, all that kind of stuff here. So let's put the normal output into the normal. Has that done anything? Yeah, you can see it. I don't know if you can see that. It's done some like little bits of normal there. Let's add the, what is this? Is this metallic? Or is that metallic? Ambient occlusion. Let's do the ambient occlusion. So ambient occlusion will go in there. So this is just like the default settings. Hopefully you can see whenever I add something it changes. This is height. So I would like the height. Where is the height? Do I have height? Yes, I do. Height goes in there. And this is metallic. Metallic is from here. And I guess that must be roughness. So let's add the roughness there. Yeah, roughness. Perfect. Okay, so this is literally just the default, and it's already looking pretty decent. But if I go into the node itself, click on the node, on the right-hand side here, shows me the base parameters. If I scroll down, it shows me for this instance parameter, so this yoke, what it's doing overall. So I can do a global, and the global will affect everything, all of the channels. So if I do like the depth balance, you should see, if I let go, it doesn't have a huge amount of difference really. But you can see that it's readjusting. Not a massive difference really. You can see it very subtly if I pull down the depth. Can you see it separating away from each other? Kind of like the low depth balance. It's very subtle. I'm not sure it's coming across in the video. And then I'll go to the diffuse. And this is where I could like sharpen it if I wanted to. So things get more defined. I can shift the hue. So now we have like a purple rock. Let's make it blue. I kind of like the blue. And then let's drop saturation. Cool. And I can increase the brightness if I want to. Whatever I want to do. And the contrast. Okay, so now we're getting something like very different from what we started with. But this will only affect the diffuse channel. And then I'll go to relief. Relief is kind of like the bump. So we have fine, medium, large, and very large. And these control how bumpy each of those are. So if I whack up fine all the way, you can see like the fine details are being really sharpened, which usually doesn't look very good. So usually you kind of want large and very large to bump up quite a bit. And the pinch intensity is like how much roll off there is. And sharpening the normals or softening the normals. We actually want to soften this. It's a bit too sharp. Okay. Then we get our roughness. Go straight to a roughness. And again, this is just a straight up full. You can do a low, mid, high. So like low areas, meaning like darker areas, I guess. We can change those. You can see that changing to lower areas. Like you can either make them less rough or more rough. Let's make the high areas super not rough, so anything high gets super shiny. You can see that happening there. But actually with this, to make it look nice, I think I want everything to be fairly rough. Cool. And then we have our ambient occlusion, and we can increase the amount. We can even change the angle at which the ambient occlusion falls. I don't think you can see it very much on this particular texture. Some textures you can see more obvious. And we control the minimum levels. So like if I make it, you can see that like these areas get darker. The minimum level to have an ambient occlusion. And also I can edit this before it even goes in here. So like let's say I'm starting with this, I can add like let's add a contrast node. Yeah, let's add a contrast luminosity node. So we're just going to increase contrast. So it's going to input this, and it's going to, you can see that getting higher contrast already, and it'll output that. And that, because it's taking this as the input, that now affects all of the channels, because this thing is converting whatever its input is to all the channels. So you can see it being affected here. Right. So basically that's how you would make your own material, using the bitmap to material node. And there's tons of nodes. There's like blending nodes, there's like normal nodes as blurs, and all sorts of jazz. We could blend two different textures into one. We can do adjustments on them, we can blur them, whatever. But essentially the basic stuff that you would want to do is create your own material from a texture that you have or you found. And this is how you would do it. Any questions on that? Cool. All right. If there's no other questions on that, we can leave it for today. Then the question of when your next class will be. Let me stop recording.